Hello, my friends, and welcome back. A few minutes ago, I posted a video with a new courageous guy from the Western Hemisphere, and that is the president of Mexico, Mr. Obrador. And why is he courageous? Is because he's taking on, at least for now, on the big boss, and that is because of the Summit of Americas that will be held in Los Angeles. So the host country is United States of America, and they already um, made some statements that certain countries in from the Americas will not be invited, like Nicaragua, Venezuela, and Cuba. Well, Mr. Obrador said that he's not going to participate if these three countries are excluded because this is not okay, and he's going to send a replacement. Whom who knows who's going to go? Then we have the other courageous guy in the Western Hemisphere, and that is President of Brazil, Bolsonaro, who stated that he's not going to go, but he didn't even bother to provide a reason. And no offense to anyone, but in United States, in the news, when you are hearing about Venezuela, all the news that are not all the news, but the news that are given to us, provided to us about Venezuela are mostly because Venezuela has a lot of oil. If Venezuela would not have oil, you would hear as much as you would hear about Peru, which is nothing over there. You know what I mean? It's just politically I'm talking, not geographically and travel wise. And that is because Venezuela has oil, a lot of it, and the government of Venezuela does not share it. And if it shares it, it doesn't share it with how much the other guy wants to have it shared to them, or at least they're not allowed their companies to manage the oil of Venezuela. So then what they do, like something they do best, they have a few opposition people who you know, all of a sudden are supported by external forces. So this article gets me to this name that was very popular a few years ago. His name is Guaido, if you remember this gentleman. So let's see. The problem now is that United States is in a big trouble kind of the world with the oil since they imposed sanctions on themselves on the Russian oil. So now they need oil from everywhere. The Saudis do not increase their output on the market. The price is very high. It's a shortage because Russia delivers into Asia and other little parts, but these guys shot themselves in the foot. So here is the title of this article. This is from Miami Herald by Michael Wilner Antonio Maria Delgado from May 17th, 2022. And this is the title. Biden will ease sanctions on Venezuela for Maduro commitment to dialogue with Guaido, or Guaido, because I see it's the Guaido. So Mr. Guaido has to be called by the president of Venezuela, Maduro, um, under the threats and blackmail of sanctions. So these guys from outside will just say, if you don't do and you don't take care of your stuff in your country the way we want it, then we're going to sanction you. And I think Venezuela is already sanctioned, like Cuba, and I don't think they really care. So all of a sudden, if you remember, a U.S. delegation went to Venezuela a month ago, something like this, right? When the embargo, or at least not embargo, the sanctions started on Russia, the Americans came and discussed with Venezuela with Maduro, to see what's going on. You're going to give us some oil or what? And it seems like that was not a good meeting. Therefore, now they try to reactivate Mr. Guaido. So let's see. The Biden administration will ease sanctions on President Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela, not on President Maduro, on Venezuela. The sanctions are not on him, are on the country. But that's what they say. In exchange for a commitment from the government to dialogue in Mexico City with Venezuela's opposition movement. Sources familiar with the matter told blah, 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 making a turning point in Washington's pressure campaign on Caracas. Yeah, because they need oil. They don't need you people. If you people over there in Caracas and Venezuela will not exist, they wouldn't care. They would just go over there and take the oil. You guys can do whatever you want. Just let us get the oil. That's all we need. That's basically how these guys are speaking with Maduro and the government, Venezuelan government. Then they sanction Maduro, but then the population suffers. They think that the population will start an uprising because they're gonna not gonna have food, not gonna have anything else. This is how it works, because their country doesn't agree with this country's policy to get something. You know what I mean? Anyway, Maduro walked away from the talks with the Venezuelan opposition last fall, all but collapsing the fragile diplomatic effort. The country's democratic leader, Juan Democratic, you see how it is, democratic leader, yes, Juan, a beautiful, smart, and handsome, and all that. How about that? Good looking, strong. Come on, where are those adjectives? So Juan Guaido, whose movement was faltered over the past year, has has rested his negotiation position on continued U.S. sanctions. Then it was a little, things got too messy over there in Venezuela. And from what I heard, there were some Russian help, military Russian advisors who were just, they were flown into Venezuela to take care of stuff. So the American says, I don't think we want to start anything yet here. So then all this, that's how it's really stalled. Now, to be honest, that's not my issue, not my problem with Venezuela. But I think what people want, how they determine how they take care of their lives in their country, that's their business. External influence is, just so you know, it's not for the good of the people. The guys from outside, whomever they are, they want, their little interest. Now, Mr. Guaido, I don't know him. He might have some little training from, I don't know, from Arlington, Virginia, around how do you call that? Washington D.C. If you know what I mean. But I don't know. It's just that he's pushed by these guys, and by all means, the country, the people should determine their outcome, the direction the country goes, not any other country on this planet, Russia or whomever. And the thing is, now they're trying to do this because also the Russian might request Venezuela to host a few launching pads. You know what I mean? Like Cuba and in a Cuban missile crisis, right? That could be one. So it's very important to stress that this was done in coordination with the interim president. Interim president was Juan Guaido, to move the talks forward. This is something that they thought would be helpful for the talks to move forward. Okay. Well, the United States and nearly 60 other nations recognize Guaido as Venezuela's interim president and accuse Maduro of leading the economic collapse of Venezuela over the past 9 years. The Trump administration imposed severe sanctions on Caracas and even considered using force to overthrow Maduro in 2019. What do you mean, consider force to replace? Who? I mean, really? How about China doesn't like Biden? Should they talk about replacing Biden because they don't like the policies of Biden or the economic or the political system in the United States? What kind of, and why? So see how the world is run. It's run by freedom and democracy and justice. Yes, we try to overthrow you. We don't like you, and we're going to talk about you. What's your problem? This is my family. This is my household. Get out. But nevertheless, as I said, all I want is the Venezuelan people to have a better life. Now I don't know under whose um, reign they will have it. But nevertheless, I know that Maduro is the way he is. This guy's Guaido is pushed by certain forces. And I really don't like those forces, because I saw in other countries when those forces imposed their boy, what happens with those countries. Um, you had a little click, and then the rest were probably as is right now. So the sanctions relief will grant Chevron Corporation a license to begin negotiating further activities in Venezuela without actually beginning that activity. So you see, we're gonna overthrow your government unless you allow Chevron. Chevron is an oil company, energy company, to come and talk to you. So this happened a lot if you look into history, and the same actors impose the same thing. It's a narrow license authorizing Chevron to negotiate the terms of their potential future activities in Venezuela. Can you imagine how much money Chevron will make if they are the only guys going to have access to Venezuelan oil and not being nationalized? Well, I told you, is about further authorization would be needed for Chevron to get into any sort of agreement. Yes, yeah, we need that to do that. Uh, this is what the Americans want over there. Don't fool yourself with Guaido. I'm not saying that Guaido maybe is not doesn't have good intentions, but being pushed by these guys, and you have Chevron, you know exactly what they want. They want your resources. That's all. I mean, if tomorrow they say, okay, you can have all the resources, they will not care about Guaido. They will not care about how much you guys in Venezuela eat, or how much electricity you have, or how many clothes, and how your lifestyle is. They would not care. Chevron, access to your oil, all of a sudden Maduro will be invited to, or whomever is invited to the White House, and medals and all that. I've seen this before. And if you look, you can find it still on on our historical media record. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.